The White House border czar Tom Homan was recorded on an FBI surveillance tape in September 2024, accepting $50,000 in cash. Did he keep that money or give it back?
George, you've covered the story ad nauseum. Tom Homan did not take a bribe. It's a ridiculous smear. And the reason you guys are going after Tom Homan so aggressively is because he's doing the job of enforcing the law.
That's ABC News host George Stephanopoulos, the network's own talking puppet, trying to hype up a mystery tape about Tom Homan like it's Watergate 2.0. But J.D. Vance doesn't blink. He calmly rips the whole thing apart, exposing ABC's real motives and leaving Stephanopoulos so rattled he rage quits on live TV. Welcome to MN News, and this is where we pull the mask off establishment media so you don't have to sit through hours of liberal spin. Because, once again, the so-called mainstream press is manufacturing fake scandals when the facts don't line up. Think about it. Democrats spark a government shutdown, Americans are hurting, and suddenly ABC News resurrects a months-old Tom Homan bribe rumor they still can't prove. Luckily, Vance calls their bluff in real time and flips the narrative back where it belongs. Watch as he goes head-to-head with Stephanopoulos over the Letitia James indictment and completely takes control of the conversation.
The indictment this week of Letitia James on questions of mortgage fraud. Also, Lisa Cook has been accused by the Trump administration of committing mortgage fraud as well. The journalism outlet ProPublica has actually published a story, and I want to show it up on the screen right now, that says that several members of the Trump administration have faced similar questions. Labor Secretary Lori Chavez DeRemer entered into 2 primary residence mortgages in quick succession. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy has primary residence mortgages in New Jersey and Washington, D.C. Lee Zeldin, the Environmental Protection Agency administrator, has 1 primary residence mortgage in Long Island and another in Washington, D.C. How do you respond to critics who say that the Trump administration is engaging in a double standard here?
Well, I'd say 2 things, George. First of all, ProPublica is basically a left-wing blog. I'm not shocked that you found a left-wing blog that can attack members of the Trump administration. But second, and this is the most important, is what does the law say? Letitia James was indicted in a left-leaning part of our country, a part that voted very heavily against Donald J. Trump, for the crime of mortgage fraud. When I read the indictment, when I read the facts in the case, I see a person who committed mortgage fraud. Now, of course, the jury is going to decide whether she ultimately committed a crime. We don't try her. The administration doesn't try her. A judge tries the case, and a jury decides whether she's ultimately guilty. That is what is going to determine whether she goes to prison. I think we let the facts drive this, and George, that's what we've tried to do in the administration's Department of Justice. We've asked ourselves, has a person violated the law? And if that person has violated the law, then we decide to prosecute him. That's what the Department of Justice should do. It didn't do that under Joe Biden's administration. It does under Donald Trump's.
On the facts, do you dispute the facts that ProPublica reported?
Do I dispute a far-left blog that I haven't read that you brought up in this interview? I have no idea, George. I have no idea what they actually said. But I certainly question the source. I question their credibility. And most importantly, I'm not worried about what they said about members of our administration. I ask the question, what does the law say? And if the law says that you engage in mortgage fraud, and a local prosecutor, a local grand jury, and finally a jury convicts you of that crime, then that is how the justice system is meant to work in the United States of America.
You know, this is media spin in action, live and unfiltered. Letitia James gets indicted by a grand jury in a Democrat stronghold for flat-out lying on her own mortgage forms, and somehow George Stephanopoulos still calls it politics. That's not political revenge. That's justice catching up. But instead of facing the facts, George hides behind a ProPublica blog post, waving it around like it's holy scripture. Proof of just how desperate the left has become to rewrite reality. Meanwhile, J.D. Vance keeps his cool, reminding everyone that Trump's DOJ actually enforces the law evenly, while Democrats treat it like a weapon to protect their own. And just when you think George can't dig any deeper, he drags out the fake Tom Homan bribery tape. And Vance hits back so hard that Stephanopoulos rage quits the interview on air.
I think it's really preposterous. I know Tom. I think that he's a good man. He gets death threats. He gets attacked. He gets constantly threatened by people because he has the audacity to want to enforce the country's immigration laws. I think that it would be a much more interesting story about why is it that Tom Homan, who is simply enforcing Americans' immigration laws, is getting constantly harassed and threatened to the point of death threats. That's a much more interesting question that I think journalists should focus on. We we can agree to disagree on that question.
Well, wait, you said he didn't take a bribe, but I'm not sure you answered the question. Are you saying that he did not accept the $50,000?
Media reports that Tom Homan accepted a bribe. There's no evidence of that. And here's, George, why fewer and fewer people watch your program and why you're losing credibility. Because you're talking for now 5 minutes with the Vice President of the United States about this story regarding Tom Homan, a story that I've read about, but I don't even know the video that you're talking about. Meanwhile, low-income women can't get food because the Democrats and Chuck Schumer have shut down the government. Right now, we're trying to figure out how to pay our troops because Chuck Schumer has shut down the government. You are focused on a bogus story. You're insinuating criminal wrongdoing against a guy who has done nothing wrong instead of focusing on the fact that our country is struggling because our government's shut down. Let's talk about the real issues, George. I think the American people would benefit much more from that than from you going down some weird left-wing rabbit hole where the facts clearly show that Tom Homan didn't engage in any criminal wrongdoing.
It's not a weird left-wing rabbit hole. I didn't insinuate anything. I asked you whether Tom Homan accepted $50,000, as was heard on an audio tape recorded by the FBI in September 2024, and you did not answer the question. Thank you for your time this morning.
No,
Well,
George,
Governor
I
J.B.
said that I
Pritzker's
don't.
Up next, we'll be right
You know, this is the classic establishment media playbook in full swing. Keep hammering a fake story until it feels true, then act shocked when you're asked for proof. But J.D. Vance completely flips the script. He points out the obvious. There's no indictment, no charges, no tape, and nothing even close to real evidence. The truth? Tom Homan's only crime is enforcing immigration law while taking death threats from the same activists the media glorifies. Instead of focusing on struggling families and a Democrat-driven government shutdown, George Stephanopoulos keeps chasing ghosts, headlines that never stick. So what do you think? Did J.D. Vance just expose Stephanopoulos and the media's selective outrage once and for all? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Hit that like if you're tired of media manipulation, and don't forget to subscribe for more real talk without the propaganda. Until next time, this has been MN News. Thanks for watching.